Hi, I'm Neil Rolnick, and this is the first of several videos in which I'll be talking about my new CD, Gardening at Gropius House, which was recently released on the Innova label. The title piece is a violin concerto performed by Todd Reynolds with members of Alarm Will Sound, conducted by Alan Pierson. The other piece on the CD is called anosmia, which means lack of the sense of smell. And it's performed by the new music ensemble of the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, conducted by Nicole Paiement. The name of the title piece, Gardening at Gropius House, comes from an interaction that I had when I was much younger with the famous architect Walter Gropius. A lot of people don't know now who Gropius was, so let me tell you a little bit about him. He was an iconic modernist architect who was very active in Weimar Germany between the First and the Second World Wars. His work was a prime example of what modernist architecture meant then. He also had very revolutionary ideas about art education. He founded and directed a school in Germany called the Bauhaus, which brought together all of the various art forms to help train artists in a kind of unique and comprehensive way. Eventually he had to leave Germany to escape the Nazis, ended up in the United States, where ultimately he was the dean of the School of Design at Harvard University. I first heard about Walter Gropius through a song by the cabaret entertainer who was popular in the 1960s named Tom Lehrer, who had a song called Gustav, Walter and Hans, which actually traced the matrimonial progression of Gropius's first wife, Alma Mahler, who was at that point the widow of composer Gustav Mahler. As a composer, I knew about Mahler long before I knew about Gropius. I got to know Gropius when I was a college student. He was an 84-year-old retired architecture dean and famous architect. I answered an ad for a summer gardening job, ended up tending the gardens around his house in Lincoln, Massachusetts, which is now a museum called Gropius House. While I was working for him, we had an interaction, a kind of an exchange, where he asked me to rework a field behind the house, which he wanted to make into a much more formal garden. It was a field of wildflowers and shrubs and long grasses, and my reaction was that I said, no, I won't do that. The field should be the way that it is, and the idea of making it into a formal garden is just wrong. It was a little bit cheeky of me as a 19-year-old college student to pass judgment perhaps on the design ideas of a famous architect, but that's what I did. And as I've thought about it, it seemed to me the very first reaction that I had, a gut reaction against modernism in any art form, and that in turn has influenced my music, and particularly this piece, Gardening at Gropius House. I'll talk more about the specifics of how that works in my next video.